You want to talk about rude awakening? This is it. The sellouts just keep exposing themselves. I don't care. I may be dead tired. It may be quite literally 2:01 in the morning. So yeah, this is what time my body decided to wake up right there at the ass crack of midnight. Sure, but I'm still gonna make a video on this. I'm still gonna rant about this depraved behavior that now Tribeca wants to be a part of, because of course they do, because they're sellouts. Rant's about to begin. Roll the intro. Hello, this is Daniel Mart, back again. I'm an actor, filmmaker, and a pissed off person right now because of AI once again infesting and poisoning the film industry. Here's a drink. This is water, don't worry, but screw it, let's get into this rant right now. So, what's going on right now? What is going on? What the hell is Tribeca thinking? So for those who don't know what I mean when I say Tribeca Film Festival, they're one of the biggest film festivals, up there with Cons, up there with South by Southwest. They're pretty notable, okay? They're pretty notable, is what I'm trying to say. Right now, we are entering festival season. Cons, I think right now we're in the midst of Cons. I believe South by Southwest is pretty soon. I guess Tribeca is within the next week, given the fact that this is going on. So what am I talking about? What am I already ranting about right now at 2:02 in the morning, basically? So, Tribeca, for whatever reason, they have decided to admit a film. They can admit any film they want, frankly. But, why am I ranting? Because the film they decided to allow to screen into their festival, and therefore tarnish their good name, is this movie, aka AI slop, called Dreams of Violence. Not violence, by the way, but violets, like the color, violets, or the flower, violets. 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 Made by this charlatan, Ash Kusha. Charlatan. Just to read the description here that says both on IMDb and Letterboxd. Tehran, January 2026. Dreams of Violence wow, I can't read right now. Dreams of Violence is a 74-minute docudrama inspired by real events from the 47 years of Iranian civilian resistance. Through the eyes of 5 strangers, it brings protest footage into life with raw immediacy. It does not bring it to life if you're using AI. Anywho, at dawn, as Iranian forces execute wounded protesters, a violent soldier discovers the 5 hiding in a dead-end alley above them. Amir, a child in a wheelchair, watches from a window and decides to act. The plot sounds interesting. I would love to know about the Iranian civilian unrest from about 50 years ago, 47 years ago. You know, I would love to know about that. But I would love to watch a documentary on that if it's available. I'm sure there are actual movies and documentaries explaining this situation. I'm pretty sure I could go on YouTube and find like newsreels about this from back in the day, from 50 years ago, or people giving like historical context, videos about this, like you know how there's a bunch of Civil War videos saying, hey, this is what the Battle of Fort Bulge, I don't know, was about. Me, I'm sure there's videos like that on YouTube that I would love to watch. What I don't want to watch is AI slop infesting the art form of film in any sensitive form. That's what I don't want. And this actually kind of opened up a can of worms, because I didn't realize this. So the trailer is up online. I'm not gonna poison your minds, poison your eyes with watching the trailer. And honestly, I don't recommend you watching this disgusting, abhorrent excuse of art. But I was looking at the trailer, and actually in the comments, somebody's already saying that this isn't even the first AI film this year. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? So this is where I opened kind of a can of worms for me. And apparently in China, which I guess that alone should not surprise you, in China, there's a movie called Madame Zheng, also known as, I guess in the Chinese name, it's Zheng Yi Sao. Basically, that's another historical movie, and basically it's the story of Madame Zheng, of the pirate Zheng Yi Sao. She's a famous, yes, keyword there, she is a famous pirate from the 1800s or 1700s, or whatever time that was, the Qing dynasty, the early 18th century in the Qing dynasty. And they have that movie. Apparently there's 2 versions of the movie that is all fully made of AI. So there's that. I also found another, like, this animated film that's promoted as the first Chinese AI film called Chong Zhu Ji Lu, which is Panda Legends. That's the translation. It came out earlier this year on February 28th. I'm not sure if that was in China or worldwide, but that's been advertised as China's first official AI film. And then there's another movie which I'm not sure if it's entirely Chinese, if I'm being honest with you. I think it looks to be like an English Chinese production. And this film called Where the Robots Grow. It looks to be like a Wild Robots knockoff, honestly, from the looks of it. And one of the production companies is called AI Motion Studios. Yeah, AI is legitimately becoming a thing in the arts. It should not be legitimized in any form, by being presented in film festivals. Tribeca should not be showing any AI film in their festival. Cons should not be showing any AI film in their festivals. South by Southwest should not be showing any films. Palms, same thing. Like these film festival institutions, or any film festival, therefore, should not be in any way, what's the word? In any way, not legalizing is not the right word, but legitimizing. It should not in any way be legitimizing the art form of AI. Now, I will say this, and I'll admit, maybe it sounds a bit hypocritical, but in the past couple of years, AI still has infested filmmaking in any regard. We had this, I remember 2 years ago, there was a whole thing with The Brutalist and some of the sets being AI. There was the question of, with Emilio Perez, whether they basically auto-tuned Gascon's voice with the use of AI, stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, I'm not giving that a pass either. But I think there's a difference with certain elements being AI, which I still detest. Do not get me wrong, I still detest that, versus a film being fully AI generated, from the script to the acting to the cinematography to the production design. Like, if you are literally just putting in prompts across the board, like that, again, the use of AI is just depraved in general, especially in films. But at least I give a little bit more respect to the people in Emilio Perez and The Brutalist, because at least there's one element of it that was AI, but there was still mostly a human element. And even then, I criticized back in the day. I still criticize them for using AI. So I'm not giving them a free pass either. But even with that, at least there's still some human element. Now, something I did find out here is that the charlatan Ash Kusha, I refuse to call him a filmmaker. He does have some film credits from in the past as composer. From 2009 to 2021, he composed a few short films. Let's say it was 2 feature films, 2 short films, and a TV episode, or that's what it seems like. And then he has one more composition project in the works, which is for Dreams of Violet. Never mind. And then he also did some soundtrack stuff. Apparently, he did something on True Detective, which, okay. I guess one of his songs got used on True Detective. I'm guessing he's also a musician by that logic. But yeah, one of his songs was on True Detective, and Inua, A Story of Ice and Time, and then 2 short films, 1 short film and one feature film. And then the rest of his credits it's this disgusting, depraved Dreams of Violet's whatever this crap is, basically. So he's not even a real filmmaker. He wasn't even a real filmmaker before this. He was just a musician. So there you go. But something I did find also interesting is the fact that he gave 2 interviews. One with CBS and one with MS Now. I'm going to react to both interviews. I'll admit, I started watching them and I'm like, wait, I need to react to this. Because I'm sure this charlatan, because I'm sure this charlatan is going to say something absolutely wild, absolutely idiotic, absolutely moronic, and I want to react to it live. Yes, it is 2:10. Yes, I'm still possibly half awake, all things considered. But I don't care. I don't care. I want you guys to get my raw reaction. As raw as it comes right now. So let's go. I'm going to start off with the CBS News because that's the one I realized that I need to react to. And because some of the things she says, the interviewer said, in the first minute was just, I kind of burst out laughing when she said that. So, you may not get that live reaction, because again, I already saw that, but the rest is live reaction. Let's just go.
A new drama is pushing the boundaries of storytelling and creativity. Dreams of Violet is the first movie created entirely by artificial intelligence to debut at the Tribeca Film Festival. It's a fictional drama about 5 strangers who witnessed something very real: the massacre of Iranian civilians back in January. There's a preview.
I'm going to skip the
preview. The
preview.
director and producer of the film. Thank you for being here. What was produced by artificial intelligence and what was produced by human intelligence?
Yeah, that's the thing that got me laugh. Nothing. His answer should be nothing was produced with human intelligence. Why was nothing produced with human intelligence? Because we used AI. If it had human intelligence, he will not be using AI, period. But let's see what this pathetic excuse of a charlatan decides to say to justify his pathetic, worthless, depraved excuse of a film.
Well, thanks for having me. The writing of the script, the ideation, the blocking, and I would say the entire creative force to make decisions to put footage, the end footage, and edit it, and as well as the sound and music is human-made. What you see on the picture, the end rendering of the footage, is made using AI.
What blocking? It's an AI film. There is no blocking. You're putting codes into like ChatGPT or whatever crap system they use. There. Okay? The writing is you typing up your little crap prompts onto this system and letting it go. Production design. You're saying, hey, I want you to build a stone house. Right now, the images of the kid in the wheelchair going through some rooms. Hey, I want you to have the rooms be gray, a gray brick wall. There is no human creativity, no human ingenuity. But sure, keep trying to pretend that you're an actual film artist.
So the imagery mostly is, I would say, the AI component. And the
all
reason
of
for
it
that
is
is very
AI.
obvious is because it's very hard to make this kind of movie about such a delicate subject.
Can you go further?
Yes, I agree. It probably is very difficult to make this subject into film. I'm not going to disagree with you. I think anything of this caliber would need to take legitimate work, legitimate effort to make. And had you done said legitimate work and legitimate effort, this would have turned out to be a fantastic film, I imagine. But you sold out. Let's see what the next question is.
Into
In
that,
such a
like,
short time.
why not make this with a real crew with real actors?
Yeah, so there are a couple of notes
I can answer that for you. Because he's cheap, he's depraved, and he's lazy.
about that. I had to sit and watch and research around 3,000 images and footages of the actual events, the eyewitness accounts. And in order to create a collage of these locations, it would just take months to even prepare the locations, have a large budget to allocate the props and the people and the locations. And I think speed here mattered for me. It was my choice simply because this is a very personal story.
I was right, actually. Wow, he basically just said what I said. Because he's cheap and he's lazy. Wow, you have to do research to do a historical film. Wow, who could have thought? Who could have known? Just because you have to do research for a film does not give you the excuse to use AI. Get bar buddy, that let me hold on.
Simply because this is a very personal story. It needs to be told very quickly, right? It's a very poetic, impulsive piece of work.
It's a very personal story. No, the hell it's not. You're using AI.
So I think I thought for a moment that there's no way for me, not being a professional filmmaker as well, to go get millions of dollars to make this film. So it was just impossible. For me, this is the category of film that's just impossible,
And
considering what the subject matter is.
it only cost you $2,000 to make, right? And it's my understanding that this wasn't your day job. You have a different day job. How'd you do it?
Yeah, so I had to basically make blocks of times where I put things to either render, to generate, and then just use my time after work. And that's why it took 2 months. I would have done this in 3 weeks if it wasn't for my main job.
This guy is so arrogant. Oh yeah, it only took me 2 months to do this. It would have taken me faster, but oh boo-hoo, pity me, I have a job. Screw you. Screw you. For my short films, I'll admit it, for some of my short films, some of them did take a few weeks. Some of them took maybe even like just a weekend. I'll admit, I've had some short films where I personally wrote the script, where I personally contacted the cast and the crew. And sometimes that took a week, sometimes that took 2 weeks, sometimes that took months. That's how filmmaking is. And if you want to make a film with this subject, then no duh will it take a certain amount of time. Because you're right, this would be expensive. More than $2,000. So yeah, no duh, it will be expensive. But in order to make a great film, that's kind of what you need to do. Hey, it's going to take a lot of time to fund this film. And if your project is good, and I imagine people want to tell the story of the Israeli revolution, of the civil unrest that was in Israel, or, right, it's Israel, right, or Iran, from 50 years ago, I'm sure there's people out there who would love to fund this. Go on GoFundMe or Indiegogo. I absolutely know people would love to fund this. People would love to fund any film project. So why didn't you just do that and do some proper promotion for the film instead of setting out to ChatGPT crap?
So in a statement to CBS News Tribeca Film Festival, co-founder Jane Rosenthal says, quote, what moved us was not just the technological achievement, but the emotional immediacy and urgency of the story itself.
So this is Tribeca's response. Jane Rosenthal, I want to know what the hell their history is. What moved us was not just the technological achievements, but the emotional intimacy, immediacy, and urgency of the story itself. So they're clearly on crack because there is no urgency, there is no emotional immediacy because this is AI. This is not a technological achievement. This is you guys, the festival, setting out to AI. How do you not understand this as filmmakers?
mean, it does look, Ash, very different from a lot of the AI that we see. It does look very realistic.
It does look very realistic. No, the hell it doesn't.
What do you say to critics of AI who say that this is a slippery slope, who say there are still costs like water and energy, knowing you want to continue making films like this?
They're right. There are a lot of questions around AI. I think one of them is the cost, and I think it's been well promoted to use AI a lot more than it should be, in my view. And I kind of proved it to myself, first of all, that $2,000 was enough to make the right decisions to generate the videos and the images. And I think the reason for that is that the work done before and after the film are more important. And that is, to me, the methodology, systems, tools, and ways of dealing with the final generation that makes these new forms of movies and content. And I think we need to educate people about that, because that is the stem and the seed of the future jobs.
So I heard you in a different interview saying...
Okay, so I've heard this from a lot of AI charlatans, essentially, where they're saying, oh, we need to educate the people about how to use AI after the fact. There's a lot of work that goes into the post-production of AI films, but they never actually go into and elaborate. If there actually is some grain, some crumb of actual human ingenuity in AI, past typing out a dumb little sentence on ChatGPT, then actually go into and explain. But he does not go into this. The same situation happened with Darren Aronofsky from back in January. The same situation happened with the Kelsey charlatan from last year. They always say, oh, but there's more to it. And they never explain that. So let's see. I know the answer, but let's see if this pathetic excuse of a charlatan goes on to say why there is some crumb of human ingenuity in this. Why there is some crumb. Because that's all at this point, that's all I'm asking. Give me a crumb. You guys never even give me a crumb. Okay?
Like, for example, the lighting guy, instead of physically putting the lights together on a set, would be a consultant and working on how to light the AI image we're seeing. Is that what you see as the...
Yes, get a consultant.
Think about light, sound, think about the music, think about all these things that need creative choices, right? At the end of the day, I have a background in making stuff incredibly fast. Before AI, I was making like 10 albums a month or something.
You're making 10 albums a month? So, I mean, I saw his IMDb, so he's been working for the good part of the past 20 years. So, and AI has only been in the past 5 years. So, if you're making 10 albums a month, I have one of two thoughts. Either you are a musical prodigy, or you're just throwing stuff at the wall like Drake and seeing what sticks. And I guess something had to stick because you were featured on True Detective.
I'm just acquainted with technology, but I think there are a lot of people in cinema, in music, in art, that are creative enough to learn these new tools and then come into these new teams and just take on the responsibility and operate these models. And I think these models respond a lot better when somebody who knows the craft, who knows the creative work, as opposed to just any consumer that would pick up these tools, right? Because they wouldn't know where to begin.
I'll admit, that is a semi-intelligent answer. I say semi because he's still defending AI. You're right. With anything, if there's somebody who wants to be dedicated to this, who wants to learn about the process, they will take the opportunity to learn that process to become an expert in that field. AI, in this case, AI is not... It does not have, like, a barrier to that. It's not beholden to that, if that makes sense. If somebody, like the charlatan, for example, like the Kelsey charlatan, for example, like Darren Aronofsky, for example, if they want to sell out to AI and do their research into AI and perfect their lack of talent with AI, fair enough, they will become experts, charlatans, but experts in their field. That is fair enough. However, it's still wrong regardless, and even with that, yes, the system will respond in the appropriate manner. Granted, it's computer. Me typing on my computer right now is responding in the appropriate manner, and I don't even know coding, for example. So that's a jack crap excuse of a justification regardless. But I think it goes even beyond that, which again he seems already to refuse to consider, is that you just don't have to what's the word? And the response isn't just, I guess, the AI system and the people within the industry. But you also have to look at how the industry, the audience to that industry is responding to that. And clearly, we are not responding to it in a pleasant manner, to put it lightly. Which is something that he already refuses to look at. Also, the audience know the craft themselves. Like me, I'm a filmmaker. I know the craft. I'm clearly not responding great to this. I'm not the only person who is a filmmaker who has responded, I guess, favorably to AI. Not all of us want to sell out to AI, by the way, in case you haven't noticed. Ash?
Did you hire any of them for this project?
Not for this project. It's sensitive, and I was really learning about this stuff, so it happened over 2 months. But now I'm in the middle of the second project where I'm actually getting real people. I'm licensing voice.
I'm sorry. What? Pause. What? How much of a brain dead idiot are you then? So he says, oh yeah, there's actually a lot of people who are talented in this field who have taken the time to research and become experts in this field of AI slop film art. Yeah, I didn't want to hire any of them because I wanted this to be personal. So if I'm being honest with you, this is just Pride. This is Pride Before the Fall. We are seeing Pride Before the Fall live. Wow, this is fascinating. This is fascinating. This is pure pride. This is pure arrogance. I will say this. At least he didn't drag anybody down with him. You know, I think there may be another producer on this film. Let me double check very fast. So it's him and like two other producers, Puya Kushazad and Tom Rogers. That's it. It's literally Ash Kusha as director, writer, producer, composer, editor. Sorry, director, writer, producer, composer, editor, and then Puya Kushazad is also the producer, and then Tom Rogers is the executive producer. So there's that. So I mean, I guess he didn't drag that many people down with him, but like, I just find that like arrogance. Like, even me as a filmmaker, with real art, with real live action things, with like the real cast, with real lights and real set and all of that, even I would have the arrogance to say, yeah, I know people can do this, but I don't want to hire them because I want to try it out. Like that's arrogance. That is straight up arrogance. And fair enough, maybe I did that a little bit when I first started off, but I was still trying to learn from other people regardless. Like, this is just pure arrogance. What the hell?
And licensing faces, because in a fictional setting, now you can actually give people the opportunity to have a share of the profit of the film for the work that they do. I think it's a good opportunity for research.
Second project.
For AI in general, I've worked in AI research for 10 years, but I'm not necessarily the most like vocal advocate for AI the way it is.
You're not pro AI yet. You're doing an AI film. What the? Let's finish this pathetic exclusive interview.
But I think this is the beginning of finding the better solutions for usability of AI and the utility.
Well, Ash Kusha, thank you for your time.
There's no usability. What exactly were the words he said at the end? There's no usability or possible to advocate AI in any ways for any better solutions. That's what he said. There's no way to do that with AI in any way. We must be critical of AI constantly. We must be. It's like a conviction, you know, like, not to bring religion into this, but it's like any temptation, like against, like let's say pornography or drugs or addiction or whatever. We must be steadfast against the wickedness of this world, just like we should be steadfast when it comes to drugs and alcohol and addictions and pornography and all that, you know. Just like we should be steadfast with that, we should be steadfast with the usage of AI and how it's clearly making a mockery of the art form of filmmaking. And in this case, how it's clearly making a mockery of the Iranian Revolution from 50 years ago. And him being arrogant and thinking he could do this all by himself, and him being arrogant, saying that, oh, because I had to do so much research, this is why it justifies me having to do a film in AI, because it was going to cost so much money. This justifies why I had to do this film in AI. This is just pure arrogance. Arrogance! It's Pride Before the Fall in its clearest example, in its clearest form. The fact that Tribeca is allowing this, claiming that this is technological innovation and it's moving and urgency and great immediacy and all that, and whatever crap they spewed, that is just for the art form of film, it's blasphemous. And I just realized after watching another interview with this guy. Also, I just realized that I have, and I'm pretty sure I already did a note of this already, but I since I watch my videos at 2x speed, this video is going to go a lot faster. So, yeah. So that's why the interviews right there have been 2x speed, because I watch them in 2x speed and I'm reacting to them in 2x speed. So this one I'm actually so this is the next interview. This is from MS Now. I'm gonna start it a little bit into this interview is about 10 minutes long. I've already seen the first like minute and a half because it talks about the film preview and it's introducing these two charlatans. So here we go, and this is Ash Kusha again, and I believe Tom Rogers, because they said the other producer, and well, this producer is white, so has to be Tom Rogers. So yeah, let's just get started.
Ash, we'll turn to the subject matter of the film in a minute. Tom, a couple to you first. Obviously, significant headlines here. It is a first full-length feature film to be admitted into a film festival, so it gets the Tribeca stamp of approval. This is going to create some buzz. Make the case for this. Why do you think this is a good development for filmmaking, particularly independent?
This is not a good development for filmmakers anyway.
About how independent filmmaking had hit a wall, and that it was very difficult these days for independent filmmakers to get financing. What Ash and his brother Puya have created here is a technology that enables films that are equivalent to what human creation would look like, meaning truly high quality, not the kind of AI slop that people are familiar with on the internet. And to do it at some
this is AI slop regardless.
Ash was able to create this movie for $2,000. When you think about that, it opens up so many possibilities for independent filmmakers and budding filmmakers.
Yeah, you know, like the previous interview we saw. Yes, this was cheap. This was cheaply done. Because this film, if it was done with true, earnest, and honest intent, would have cost like a couple $1 million, which is what this film should be costing anyways. But no, again, they admit to wanting to be cheap. Therefore, they have this soulless, pathetic excuse of a film. And yes, independent filmmaking in some respects has hit a wall. But the solution is not to turn to AI. The solution is to try to appeal to the audiences to show them, like, hey, this is what we want in our films. And that is a solution. And when the audience has clearly told you that we do not want AI in any sense of the word, that should be your, light bulb moment. Like, ding! Oh my gosh, maybe we should be using AI for a film. Now, I understand that Tom Rogers is about 80 years old, sure, so maybe he hasn't gotten the memo, but his partners, Ash and what was the other producer's name, who apparently is his brother, Booyah, they definitely know the memo, and they're apparently refusing to understand that very simple, basic concept that we do not want AI in our films. Continue on.
Who can't get financing today for their creative ideas and their stories to be made into high-quality films.
They don't have a creative idea if they're using AI.
Independent filmmaking to flourish.
It does not allow it to flow and flourish. If anything, it diminishes the efforts of filmmaking in general, not even for independent, but for even big studio. It diminishes the efforts that it takes to make films in any respect of the word. There, I'm correcting you for you. Don't worry, Tom. I know you're like, 80 years old, but, just keep up with the times, Papu.
Zero being, we hope to sprout many films of this nature and of this magnitude. Zero at close to zero.
Sprout many films of this nature? No, God, no.
There will be backlash. There will be those in the entertainment industry saying this is going to cost a lot of people their jobs. People who usually they're behind-the-scenes folks who create a film. So answer to that. But
yes,
also just the concern someone watching this going,
someone with a brain.
I want a human heart at the heart of my story here. They feel like there might be something less because it's computer. Well, if you watch this film, the human heart, Ash's heart, the personal story of Ash and his connections to the people of Iran comes through in spades.
No, the human heart. That's a great point that the interviewer brought up. We want the human heart, whether it be something as dramatic as this, where we're talking about the Iranian Revolution, or something as dumb as Dumb and Dumber from like 2011, that I know was critically panned. That had heart. Why? Because people made it. Yes, the cast, I remember the cast of Jersey Shore being in that movie for whatever reason, but at least they had fun with it. They may have thought the script was dumb, but at least they had fun with it. At least the cast maybe thought the film was dumb in general. I remember Sofia Vergara was also in that movie. But at least there was some heart behind it. Hell, this is why I say I give more respect to pornography than this AI slop. Because at least porn has real actors. Real people behind the camera. I don't defend porn in any respect, except for this. I would rather watch porn than watch an AI film. That's how much I absolutely hate AI. Because I hate porn as well. But if I would rather watch porn than AI, then that's an issue. That quite literally is an issue. I would rather be stuck in front of my TV watching porn 24 hours straight than watching even 5 seconds of AI. 100%. I would much rather do that. And I absolutely hate porn, by the way. So, again, that just goes to show how much I hate AI. There is no human heart. With him, with Ash and Booyah doing this, I see where the heart is. I already saw where Ash's heart posture was, even in the previous interview, and his heart posture is one of pure pride and arrogance and just putting actual filmmakers down. That's where his heart is. And I have to imagine that his brother Booyah has that same heart. I have to imagine that you, Tom, have that same heart of arrogance, pride, deceitfulness, wickedness, depravity inside of you if you are going to move forward with this. The person who accepted this into Tribeca has that same wickedness within their heart. Why? Because they're allowing this type of disgusting, depraved garbage to infest the art form of filmmaking.
I'm watching this going, well, I want a human heart at my story here. They feel like there might be something less because it's computer.
Well, if you watch this film, that human heart, Ash's heart, the personal story of Ash and his connections to the people of Iran comes through in spades. There's no lack of human emotion here. And I think the reason that Tribeca embraced this film is that it is very much a film that has that kind of poignant impact. Beyond that, clearly we hope that writers and directors will work with us because that essential creative component, that storytelling, that emotional connection, that creative types can...
No actor, director, filmmaker, whatever is going to work with you because you're a joke of a producer. Ash is a joke of a filmmaker. Puya is a joke of a filmmaker. You, Tom, are a joke of a filmmaker for perpetuating this horrendous practice. And anybody who does work with them is in that same boat of depravity.
It will be disruptive in terms of jobs, but as Ash points out, there'll be all kinds of new jobs that are created here as well.
Again, their arrogance is showing off. Yes, it's going to disrupt jobs, but it's going to create new jobs. Alright, turning to Ash now.
To you. First, just talk to us about, we'll get to the subject matter in a moment, but just tell us how this film was created. It is obviously a marvel, and the fact that the film festival was willing to take it, eagerly to take it, speaks to your accomplishment.
There is no accomplishment in this.
Yeah, well, the film is AI generated, but I think that human creativity is at the center of this film, right? So I would say most of the film was possible due to the fact that I had to go out and research and think about the story that I'm making and block this film assisted by AI.
There is no human creativity at the center of the film if you have AI as the whole backbone of the film. So, again, you're a lying... You're a lying, arrogant, foolish charlatan.
Until the point they have to go to production, which is the most impossible aspect of this film, is going to production in Iran or in a situation where those events are happening, right? So it was actually very painful to make this film because I come from a background of being prosecuted in Iran, and I know a lot of people that were affected by the January protests or had their loved ones killed. So for me, it's a question of the
very painful to make this film. Yeah, it's going to be painful for the rest of us to watch this AI crap. And it was not painful if you were just literally in the other interview so arrogant proclaiming that, yeah, it only took me 3 months, but it would have taken me 2 weeks because of my dumb job, making a joke out of it. So no, it was not painful for you. Oh wow, you had to do research for it. Hey, newsflash, I have to do research for my films too, and I'm not making a film about the Iranian Civil War, by the way. I'm sometimes making a stupid little crime film or a stupid little horror film, but you know what, I still have to do research for it too. Hey, you know what, buddy, that's what filmmaking is about.
Urgency of telling the story versus the knowledge that I have with the technology and AI, it comes together in form of a film, a new form factor of a film, right? So I think, in fact, we want to open up to these questions.
Okay, so this is a very interesting question I would love to ask him, because this is actually separate from AI. Although I will tie it back to AI. So you're saying how you know people who were in the midst of the Iranian Revolution, who had family members killed. I want to ask him does he have that history? Are his parents or his grandparents or extended family, were they killed during the Iranian Revolution? Or does he know people who were part of the Iranian Revolution themselves? I would ask him that question because my follow-up question is, how do you think they would feel knowing that AI is now basically diluting whatever progs they made? Because that's the key word of it. Because here's the thing, I'm pretty sure I already said this before, not only does this make a mockery, a straight-up mockery of filmmaking, but I think even more importantly than this, it makes a mockery of the revolution of itself. It makes a mockery of history.
It's the films, the stories that nobody is able to tell at the speed of news, right? So filmmaking at the speed of the events in the world is just impossible. So why we're doing this? I think the intention is to discover and invent new roles for people who have the knowledge of cinema, who have the intent to tell the stories, right? And it doesn't end here. It's an exploration of both sides. So
that's actually not true. So in a lot of sense, so he's saying about how you can't make a film in the speed of news and the speed of time, this and the other. First off, South Park alone has proved that you can make a timely episode. They make episodes literally like a week in advance, and it's always timely. They're always up to date with the news. So it's possible. South Park, of all things, has proved you wrong. So there's that. But even with that, the news itself, the daily news checks, whether it be Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, CBS, I don't know, Philip DeFranco, I don't know, and I don't care. The news itself has proved that you could report stuff in the speed of light. Now, here's the thing. You're not making something of this time. It's not like we have an Iranian Revolution thing going on right now. We have the Israeli-Gaza situation. Sure. And I'm sure there is something going on in Iran because it's the Middle East, don't get me wrong, but you specifically chose a time, the Iranian civil unrest from 50 years ago. You specifically chose that time. You keep complaining. You keep complaining and whining about how, I had to do the research. Hey, again, newsflash, you need to do research for any kind of film, Babel. But besides the point, my point in saying this is that I didn't know jack about the Iranian Revolution or the Iranian civil unrest from 50 years ago. I didn't know that was a thing. I could probably imagine because, again, the Middle East, neither here nor there. But all this to say is that your film isn't as timely as you think or believe it to be. Therefore, you could take a lot more time to do your film in the proper way, in the earnest way. Now, if this was a situation about the Israel-Gaza situation when it first started off, there's at least there's some leeway of an excuse there. Keyword there is some, and even then, AI is still not the solution. But we're talking about something that happened 50 years ago. This is like me saying, oh yes, I want to make a film about the Holocaust, but it's such a tiny situation that I need to get this out next week. Even though we know stuff about the Holocaust, the Holocaust happened literally 80 years ago. Like, there's documentary upon documentary upon documentary about the Holocaust. There's movies upon movies about the Holocaust. Granted, I'm not sure how many movies or documentaries there are about the situation. Fair enough, I'll give you that. But still, my point is that you could take your time to research it because this happened way back in the past. So people are not as readily anticipating it, if that makes sense. It's not like we're looking towards it anytime soon. And that's, if anything, that should be an advantage to you. But again, you being a brain dead charlatan didn't consider that and decided to sell out whatever little you have of your soul left.
While we're doing this, I think the intention is to discover and invent new roles for people who have the knowledge of cinema, who have the intent to tell the stories, right? And it doesn't end here. It's an exploration of both sides. So where does the technology go? Does the content make sense for it to use AI, as well as what are the impossible stories that you want to make a film?
So he's talking about those who have knowledge of cinema and want the intent to tell stories. Here's the thing: those who have the actual knowledge of cinema, those who intend to tell stories, are not gonna sell out to AI.
Around, but you would never be able to do so.
Yeah, Shamstein here. I understand completely what you're saying, that this is a film that probably can only be made with AI because of the difficulties in trying to generate footage out of Tehran, for instance, and subject matter as well. And yet I can't get over what Tom said about this film costing $2,000 to produce. You obviously didn't have to pay a single actor. You probably didn't have to pay much of a crew at all, beyond the people who were working with your technology. And I think for a lot of people, that's a little bit hard to sort of process. And it would be helpful to understand in some granularity how you can produce a film on $2,000, how quickly the production was, how few people you actually had to employ to do this, because there's a lot of jobs that in a normal process of filming something like this that would have gone into, some expenditures, obviously, would have gone into this, and they're just gone. So I'm just sort of curious, can you break down with some granularity the process here?
So I could break it down for you very fast, honestly. He doesn't even have to answer. It took $2,000. He probably spent $500 on the AI, gave $500 to his brother, gave $500 to this other charlatan, and he kept the other, whatever's left over. That's really what happened. Here's the thing. You can make a film on $2,000. Like, legitimately, you can. It's going to be a very cheap film. I'm not going to lie. But you can still make a film on $2,000. I've made short films on $2,000. Granted, that's a short versus a feature film, and that's a conversation of another scope, of another scale. Fair enough. But you can make a film of any kind with $2,000. Whether that money goes to the cast, the crew, the set, whatever. Hey, that's what you need to do sometimes, Again, it comes down to him being lazy, and he's saying, "Oh, Tehran, that's the excuse. Oh, we can't really film in Tehran. Sub another place for Tehran. People do that all the time. Like, again, you could have gone to a studio, have proper backup, and I'm sure there's a lot on Studio 56 or wherever that could have been turned into a Tehran village. Maybe they built some sets in the middle of Nevada, in the deserts of Nevada, and they do it like that, It's like, do you really think, like, Unforgiven went to a town, like an actual, like Western, old-timey Western town? Or do you think that they built up the set? You know what I mean? Do you think that Wes Anderson found the most idyllic places that fit his style? Or that he built sets and production designed it? It's like, that's how filmmaking works. You don't, I know the story takes place in Tehran, sure. In the movie, it's going to take place in Tehran because historically it took place in Tehran. But that doesn't mean in real life you have to film in Tehran. If your main thing was, hey, we don't want to be killed in Tehran for filming, we don't want to be robbed in Tehran for filming, that's a fair enough thing. I'm not gonna blame you there, honestly. But there's other avenues to do that through. Frankly, I think he should have just done a documentary. With all the research he did, he could have done a documentary, a slideshow documentary, and that would have been even more acceptable. But let's see what this charlatan has to say. How he justifies his lack of integrity.
Yeah, so I did the entire film. We didn't hire anyone. It was just a producer, was my brother, executive producer was Tom, and I just sat down for 2 months and made a film at nighttime where I was doing my day job, and then I would just go take a stab at it every night, right? So yes, I get it. And a lot of those jobs,
pity me. I did this in 2 months because I had a job.
And most people understand this. It's like generational changes in roles, right? We do different things. When this Silicon Image in Mark II came and Lord of the Rings was using it, the same discussion happened. But this is a gigantic step, right? It's like an enormous step forward. So for me, I think producing and making a film like this, it's a one-off. For the future projects, which we are right now in the middle of, we're basically licensing voice, licensing people's images, and using their characteristics into training models to do the acting. So automation of the human parts is still required.
So you're seeing this as a one-off, while at the same time saying, we're still going to continue using AI. Yes, we're going to license the voices, we're going to license the actors. First off, if in your future projects, if there is an actor who allows their image or their voice to be used in AI, give us their names so we can blacklist them from the industry. My last time I discussed this, AI, and talking about blacklisting people, my friend Camille, he said I'm going to go all McCarthyism on them, and go all Red Scare on them, like I'm basically comparing AI to communism. Hey, Papo, and I told you this straight to your face, I don't care. I want to know the names, and I want them blacklisted, because they should not be in the film industry in any way, in any significant way, if they're going to sell out to AI.
So this is a nascent economy or definitions of jobs. But my sense so far, and I want to be careful here, is that there will be immediate jobs and roles that we have to invest in inventing those jobs, where film producers start making these type of films. They know that they have to go to the gaffer who's been setting up light on set to edit the images in terms of the setting of the virtual world in those images, right? So these skills are still to be translated into these new productions. So I can expand on this forever, but
there's no skills there.
This is the beginning of finding a way to make AI meaningful for people.
Again, the thing I say in the past interview, I could expand on this forever, I could talk more about this, but they never actually do, they never actually elaborate. And again, you're talking about codes. There's no such thing as a gaffer, as a production designer, when you're making up codes.
Both on the subject matter, which is the consumer wants to get something meaningful, but also
making AI meaningful to people, I can say right now, nobody is going to consider AI meaningful in the arts, okay? We want something meaningful, yes, it goes back to the heart. We know your heart posture is disgusting, depraved, because you're allowing this crap to do. I keep spitting all over this, and now my camera fell. I feel like in every rant video that I do, my camera eventually falls, so there we go, it's about time. And yeah, I've been spitting all over the place because this is how much it pisses me off. Look, the consumers are not gonna, we've vocally said that we hate AI. We've vocally said that we do not want AI films to infest any aspect of this, okay? Again, we have gotten worked up. I have gotten worked up just by knowing that film, like, The Brutalist was using AI for the production design. I got worked up with Emilio Perez was using AI for their auto-tune or whatever. I've gotten worked up for a lot less than this. Is my point. And I've crashed out hard with other AI discussions. Okay? Hell, I could have probably crashed out harder if not for the fact I'm still somewhat half asleep. All things considered, it's 2:45. So, like, people are, the consumer status is we do not want AI in our films, let alone a fully AI film. This was the same thing a few months back with Darren Aronofsky and his stupid little short films. They're all AI for 1977 or whatever the hell that film series was called. Again, the consumer stance is we do not want AI. Get that through your god dang stupid brain dead head, you charlatan.
Also on the job market side, how can we get out of this sort of void that has been created where we are scared, at the same time we produce AI slop, right? So this is our attempt to get out of that space.
You're never gonna get out of space right now. So that's where it ends. Oh yeah, premieres on June 10th. I am very curious to know what the reviews are of this on June 10th. If it's just a total crap fest, which it should be, and then if people actually praise this, I want to know who are the people, the charlatans who sold out and actually accepted to justify this. I would love to know that. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I literally woke up about 45 minutes ago. I am probably going to edit this video sometime later today and post it probably on Saturday. And yeah, so all this to say, we have another charlatan. Tribeca is trying to justify this film for some reason, trying to legitimize this film for some reason. After all the work that Tribeca has done to be just such a bastion, and when it comes to film festivals, they have completely tarnished her name with allowing this slop to infest and poison their film festival, to infest and poison the art form of filmmaking in any respect. It is depraved. It is disgusting. It is demonic. That is a stance where we should stand on AI and any censored word when it comes to filmmaking. Daniel Mart signing off. If anybody accepts this crap, shame on you.